is the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. I'm Oisin Langan, and in the background you can hear the sound of the RSC at full time following Waterford's 1-0 win against St Pat's. We'll have more on that game with former St Patrick's and Waterford player John Frost in a while. Drogheda United with a 1-1 draw against Shelbourne. Paul Crowley was watching that for us and we'll hear from him. Galway United drawing 1-1 with Bohemians. Donal Ryan of Extratime.com is a very excited man, and that's because Sligo Rovers beat Derry City by 2-1. And the point that Shelbourne got away to Drogheda is now a point gained as opposed to 2 lost because Derry City slipped up. Shamrock Rovers didn't slip up. They overcame Dundalk by 1-0, and we'll hear from Barry Murphy shortly. In the First Division, Cork City beat Wexford 3-1. If you haven't seen the Cathal O'Sullivan goal, get yourself on to the League of Ireland social media channels and check it out. An absolutely wonderful goal. Let's start at the showgrounds, where Sligo Rovers overcame Derry City by 2-1. Ocean FM, LOI TV and Extratime.com's Donal Ryan was there, and afterwards he sent us this voice note.
Sligo Rovers make it 2 wins from 2 straight back after the break. 6 points out of the possible 6 here in the showgrounds since they've come back. It was a tight enough encounter in the first half, but not too much to report in terms of chances. Half chances fell away of both sides, with the best of those coming on the stroke of half time when Patrick Hoban attempted a spectacular overhead kick from inside the box, a chance that he created for himself, and a whistle just wide of Ed McGinty's left hand on the stroke of half time. The game came to life then in the second half. Paul McMullen opening the scoring for the visitors as they looked to chase down Shelbourne at the top of the table. The ball came to him on the left side of the box. He cut back in and just bent one into the top right corner. Nothing Ed McGinty could do about it, and his hopes of a 9th clean sheet of the season were dashed. Derry City looked to press on then, but it was Rovers who got back on level terms as Will Fitzgerald did stellar work down the left wing, cut into the box and was taken out. Referee Damien McGrath pointed for a penalty straight away, and up stepped Ellis Chapman to roll it into the bottom left corner. Derry pressed on to try and get themselves back in front. The Sligo Rovers were clinging on, but then all of a sudden it was Ellis Chapman again who picked up the ball in the middle of the park and just put his head down and ran the whole way into the box. Beat about 3 or 4, maybe 5 Derry men on his way. I'll have to watch it back, and just toe poked it into the bottom left corner beyond Brian Maher in the 89th minute to send the showgrounds into raptures. J.R. Wilson was then sent off in injury time for dissent. Chatting back to the referee after a bit of a scuffle broke out for a free in just inside the Derry City half. But Rovers clung on as Tommy Gorman was remembered here tonight in the showgrounds with tributes before the game, at half time, and in the 68th minute here as well. Another special night here in the showgrounds for Sligo Rovers. Full time in the showgrounds. It's finished. Sligo Rovers 2, Derry City 1.
Donal Ryan on a good night for Sligo Rovers, a 2-1 victory over Derry City. Staying in Connacht, Galway United drew 1-1 with Bohemians, and moving into the northeast, Drogheda United drew 1-1 with Shelbourne. Let's hear now from LOI TV, LMFM's and Extratime.com's Paul Crowley, of course formerly of Drogheda and St Pat's. He watched that game for us and afterwards sent us this voice note.
Shelbourne started the game really well. JJ Looney was excellent, Mark Coyle was excellent. They really dictated the pace of the game and the pace that Shelbourne played at. Drogheda unable to get out of the traps, missing some experience in the team tonight, with Ryan Brennan starting on the bench and Gary Deegan still with a long-term injury. James Taylor started up front, came in for his debut. Alicia Wee returning back to the club again on loan. So they had a few fresh faces in the side. But it was Shelbourne who dictated the whole first half. Tyreek Wilson gets the first goal on the end of a set piece. An unlikely hero from a set piece, probably the smallest player on the pitch. But he done excellent to lose Alicia Wee in the box, and the delivery was perfect, and he got his head in it straight past Andrew Wogan. 1-0 Shelbourne after 25 minutes. They were unable to push on, yet they still dictated the pace of the game, but they couldn't get a second goal. Something we spoke about at half-time, that Drogheda was the importance of Drogheda not conceding the second goal to a really stubborn Shelbourne defence. And they didn't. They got in 1-0 at half-time. To Shelbourne's downfall, they never got going in the second half. They lost control of the game. They stopped dictating. They stopped getting on the ball, which was a very dangerous thing to do, especially after 75 minutes. When Drogheda got their tails up a little bit and felt they might have a go. The game turned on its head then on the 79th minute when Paddy Barrett gets sent off for a second yellow. Ryan Brennan had came on with about 25 minutes to go and changed the game for Drogheda. His cuteness, his awareness. He was getting free kicks. He was getting players booked. He done really, really well. He did change the game for Drogheda when he came on. Just a pity he couldn't start the game. They pushed them with the sending off. Shells were down to 10 men. Shells just couldn't get back into the game. Damien Duff made several changes to try and rejig things, and it didn't work. He'd Wood came on, he'd Boyd came on up top, but Shelbourne were just unable to get back into the game. So down to 10 men. Warren Davis was brilliantly on the right hand side, comes inside, finds Adam Foley, who goes across the ball, get a delivery in. It hits off Tariq Wilson's arm. The referee gives a penalty, and it was a penalty because his arms were out from his body. And another second yellow card, and he gets sent off. So with Shelbourne down to 9 men in a matter of 10 minutes, and Drogheda United awarded a penalty. Up stepped the new man. It looked like Ryan Brennan had the ball in his hand, but up stepped the new man, Douglas James Taylor, very confident looking after Conor Cairns only saving the penalty last week. He had a task ahead of himself, but cool and composed, stuck it on the far side with the keeper's right hand side. Drogheda back in the game at 1-1 and Shelbourne down to 9 men. They clung on Shelbourne to the end. There was another half chance. Balls were fizzing across the box, but down to 9 men, they held out, but Drogheda really pushed. The referee put up 8 minutes of stoppage time, but Drogheda weren't able to find a winner. And listen, on the night that was in it, you can see Dundalk not picking up any points up in Tala, and from a Shelbourne point of view, it looks like Derry City were beaten tonight as well. So they'll take something from that, Shelbourne, but a great spirit performance here to finish the game for Drogheda, and something they needed, something the fans needed, and something the group needed. They take a point from the game tonight.
Paul Crowley, who watched Drogheda United draw 1-1 with Shelbourne. Let's find out about Shamrock Rovers' victory against Dundalk at Tallaght Stadium. Former Shamrock Rovers, St Pat's and Bohemians goalkeeper Barry Murphy was there for LOI TV. And afterwards, he was good enough to send the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast this voice note.
Thanks, Oisin. A really windy night in Tallaght saw Shamrock Rovers keep their title challenge alive, but just about, as Johnny Kenny's goal on 23 minutes gave them a hard-fought 1-0 win against a resilient, if not overly exciting, Dundalk team. O'Neill, Byrne, McAniff and Trevor Clark all started for the Hoops, while Jad Hikiki and Bobby Faulkner made debuts for the Lilywhites. Shamrock Rovers were somewhat pedestrian in the opening period, and there's a suggestion of possession stats being up 5% to 63% from 2023, but down in terms of average goals per game. Those goals per game down 1.3 from 1.8. It suggests they were quicker in using the ball and making goal-scoring chances last season, something which has come back to haunt the Hoops this season. Chances were few in the first half, with Johnny Kenny having the best of them a minute before he eventually did score. Kenny broke through and was twice denied by Faulkner blocks. The breakthrough did come though when Monroe collected the ball. He set Hikiki away for a counter-attack, but Hikiki found himself outmanned and lost possession. The disjointed Dundalk backline hadn't made it out of the 18-yard box, and Dylan Watts found a perfect pass to Kenny, who took a touch and coolly slotted past Monroe. If he could improve that chances per goal ratio, he could really turn into a top striker. The goals were really starting to come from him. So at the break, Shamrock Rovers went in 1-0 up. Owen Kenny was fortunate not to see red in the second half when McAniff nipped past him and the youngster took out his aggression on him with a terrible tackle that eventually saw McAniff surrender to the injury. A flurry of changes saw Dundalk grow into it. Cameron Elliott making his presence felt up top, Robbie Benson playing off him and moved Dundalk right up the pitch. Nugent brought a good save out of Monroe at the other end, but it took until the last 5 minutes for Dundalk to really sustain any sort of pressure on the Shamrock Rovers goal. Ryan O'Kane had a glorious chance to level it. Good work from the new man, Garbutt, down the right hand side, who found Archie Davis. He was really good on the night. His cross found Horgan, who brilliantly headed into the path of O'Kane, who swiped and sliced it wide when the goal was gaping. Corner after corner came to nothing for Dundalk, and it's Rovers who claimed all 3 points. That win sees them close the gap to 13 with a game in hand ahead of a huge week with 2 European ties against Víkingur Reykjavik of Iceland, with a Dublin derby and the cup sandwiched in between. For Dundalk, they see the gap with Drogheda closed at 2 ahead of a double header against their laid rivals in the cup and that crucial 6-pointer in the league.
Well, we're battling with Lily Allen on the PA system here. She has recently signed up to OnlyFans to sell pictures of her feet. John Frost, formerly of St Pat's and Waterford SC, have you signed up to OnlyFans yet? Is anyone demanding pictures of your feet for money?
No, but I tell you, Lee, he showed great feet out on the left wing with that cross.
We'll get to that in a second. We're in the RSC talking about Waterford and St Pat's. Waterford with the 1-0 win here. A former St Pat's man, Ben McCormick, with the goal, and of course a former St Pat's man joining me here, John Frost, who also played for Waterford and who was part of the LOI TV commentary tonight. First of all, your reaction to the result itself, John?
Oh, well, being a Waterford man, absolutely delighted. So there during the first half, maybe Pats did shade it a little bit. It was a cagey first half, but with Waterford, if you don't let them get into their flow and play nice football, they will be resilient and they will sucker punch you, and that's what they did tonight. There's been a few times during the season Dundalk came here, Waterford took the lead, Dundalk equalised, Dundalk dominated for a while, but then there was another sucker punch. Waterford sat in and then sucker punched Dundalk, and they've done that a few times. There was a time up in Sligo. They've done it quite a few times this season. So, but to show the courage that Waterford showed as regards all around the pitch, not just with the endeavour to play, the moral courage to play. When they clear their lines, that the back four are willing to come up the pitch, hold a high line, and that their fullbacks are willing to keep attacking. Nothing seems to faze them. It's fantastic.
Let's talk about the goal, the only goal of the game. Leahy, as you've already mentioned, with great feet. Not sure if he's selling pictures of them on OnlyFans. I'm sure Waterford fans would buy them. And a very good cross to McCormack. Now, I don't think Anang would be overly happy with his efforts to stop it, but McCormack won't care, Waterford won't care, and that's the way it goes. They got the goal.
Yeah, Leahy just put the head down and drilled across the box with plenty of whip, and the deftest of touches from McCormack. It had to be superbly executed to get past Anang. He is that good of a goalkeeper. Yes, it was the near post, and technically you could say he should have done this and he should have done that and kept it out, but it was so well executed, and the zip off the ground, he nearly kept it out, but it wasn't to be, and thankfully from a Waterford point of view. But Pat, our work in progress. I hear Keith Long last season, this season, talking about Waterford being work in progress, but to be fair to Pats, it is work in progress for them, and you can see them trying to work on their defence, but while concentrating probably on their defence, they're looking to make sure things are okay up front as well, because they need results, and they created a lot of chances this evening, but they're just missing that final touch, and I reckon it will come if they don't get a big signing of a centre forward. The goals will start to happen for Pats eventually.
Why do you think it's not quite happening for St. Pat's in an attacking sense?
Yeah, there was a lot of efforts from outside the 18-yard box, and maybe and there were fantastic efforts. But in saying that, it's in around the 18-yard box. Inside the 18-yard box is where you want to do the damage, and that's where Waterford are getting into those areas. They're getting into the 18-yard box, and with Amond, sniffing around, and Parsons and the likes, and Patterson. Waterford get a lot of their goals in the 18-yard box, whereas a lot of the efforts, you're hitting crossbars and things are whizzing past the goal for Pats, but it's a lot of long-range stuff.
How annoyed are some managers in this league that they didn't sign Amond, or maybe they did try and didn't make enough of an effort, because he is not just being Waterford's player of the season this year. I would suggest he is the player of the season so far this year. 11 goals. Even if you took the goals out of it, he does so much more for Waterford.
Oh, definitely, he's been fantastic. As you said, player of the season so far. You can see him there in at the right back space. He could be a left back, but will always, when the ball goes up there, he will always be up front, ready to hold it up or flick it on. Such a clever player, and then he's finishing. Just a fantastic example for any youngster watching the game. But with that example. Brings the rest of the team, and it creates a team spirit when you see somebody working as hard as that for the team. It's been absolutely phenomenal.
Let's talk about the Waterford defence, because they stood firm tonight, and Pats tried and they tried and they tried and they tried to bring on pacey players, but it didn't work, and Waterford looked comfortable in defending that. And it's not just tonight that back four has looked comfortable.
Like you said, Oisin, they've been kind of overlooked this season. Since the last few weeks, people are starting to put their head up and go, hang on a second, Sargent was fantastic against Dundalk last week when we won 2-0, and I think comfortably, but he did, when called upon, put off some fantastic saves, and it's the same with our centre-backs. Horton with his covering, Retkowski with his feet, but when the ball is in the air, there's no doubt who's going to win the ball, and it's the two Waterford centre-backs, and they've been absolutely fantastic and have been pivotal to everything good from the Waterford team. You could see there tonight when their backs were to the wall against Pats in the last 10 minutes, and Pats were putting the squeeze on, when Waterford would clear their lines and cant the ball up the field, it wasn't Waterford sitting on the edge of their 18-yard box. The two centre-backs were getting out half pace, bringing it up a high line, bringing their full-backs with them, pushing the midfield on so the whole unit could get up the field. And it's down to the moral courage of the centre-backs and the goalkeeper to get people out.
I'm going to quote Mean Girls. is it a case of the limit does not exist for Waterford this season?
Oh, who knows? Do you know, they've been fantastic. I was thinking at the start of the season, let's be judged on the results that we get on teams around us. And the teams around us at the time were the likes of Galway and Sligo, and and we got beaten by Shamrock Rovers. It was like, oh, everyone was down in the dumps. But the teams around us now are Shamrock Rovers and Derry, and we've been we've given Shamrock Rovers plenty of it, Shelbourne plenty of it. Derry have caught us on the hop a few times, but now that we're up there, let's enjoy it and have a go. And if it doesn't happen, it's our first season back in the Premier, and let's build on it again next season and push for something. But I think Waterford are ahead of schedule at the moment.
It's actually only when you mentioned it there I realised and remembered it's their first year back. The way they play, and I've been here a few times this season, the way they play, they look like an established Premier Division outfit. Before we move on from Waterford, you mentioned something there, the couple of trimmings they got from Derry City. It seems like they've learned, like those have been the most important games this season, if that makes sense. It seems they've learned from those and have applied the lessons.
Yeah, away to Derry, in the first trip to Derry, they had a man sent off and they were 3-0 down, and this was all in the first half. But kept playing, refused to lie down and refused to deviate away from what they know. And what they know is playing a lovely passing style of football. And when you're up in Derry, a lot of people mightn't see it, but that's what happened in Derry. That they kept on playing football and learning lessons, lessons such as simple things, turning your back on a free kick. Derry.
Whereas tonight we saw at times they just hoofed it when they needed to.
Yeah, exactly it. Hoofed it when they needed to. Didn't turn their back on set pieces. And Shamrock Rovers beat us here at the start of the season. Was it 2-1 or 3-1? I can't remember. And but we learned a lot on that evening also. So these the beating we took from Derry and St. Pat's, these teams that are going for the title, we've taken a lot away from those games and implementing it into games like tonight.
I see Dara Power walking back into the tunnel there. He looks absolutely jaded because he left everything out there. Niall O'Keefe is doing a bit of a warm down because he came off the bench, but he must have got about 7 blocks tonight. Okay, I'm being a little bit over the top there, but he seemed to be in the way of any Pat's attack. Those are two Waterford lads. How important is it for the fans to have a couple of locals like that? And I think there's a few more involved as well. Yeah. How important is it for the fans to have locals involved? And look, you can give me an insight because obviously you were a local who played for Waterford.
Oh, it's massively important. You see Niall O'Keefe there on the side of the pitch and all the kids running over to him. It's because he's a local fella as well, and they can see him on the street. He might call into the schools or whatever, and they hear the accent, the Waterford accent, and the kids go, well, maybe that could be me out on the pitch someday, and Dara Power from Kilmac Thomas, another lad. His style of play is fantastic, attacking full back and so defensively sound, as well as getting up the pitch as high as he does and gets quality crosses into the box. But having that connection with the supporters is massive to the club, and we've always had somebody from Waterford playing in the first team, and having that connection between the supporters and those players from Waterford is massive to have.
You go right back to the good teams of the 60s and 70s. There was a few local lads involved and a few lads who kind of became local, exactly. Johnny Matthews, I suppose, be the
Peter Thomas,
and of course Matthews went on to play for Dungarvan United, where you're now coaching with the legend that is Vinnie Sullivan. You played for Pats as well, so I've no doubt you take no pleasure from them not winning games or struggling a little bit, but it seems to me that you can see what Stephen is doing, and your advice to the Pats fans will be patience.
Oh, definitely patience. You could see it tonight, the improvement in the side. As I was saying earlier on, besides from the bottom two, Drogheda and Dundalk, Pats are the next worst defence in the league, and I'm sure Stephen has gone in and has seen that and has said straight away, right, we need some defenders, we need a goalkeeper. So he's brought in Kazim and he's brought in Anang on the goal, and I'm sure he won't stop at that. But so you could see there tonight that he has already created a bond amongst the team. They're willing to run for each other. They're breaking lines, and which stretches the Waterford defence. When you stretch a defence, it leaves pockets of space then in between midfield and defence and different areas around the pitch. So what you had was willing runners breaking lines, thus creating space, then people going into the space and collect, like Malia collecting some great passes in and getting some strikes on the goal. But once you have that work rate, and you could see they were working tirelessly trying to get back as well and defend. And when you have that work rate, which is what Waterford have had all season. You give yourself the best chance to start getting results.
Just before I let you go, to talk about yourself, you took a non-obvious path after football. You're in teaching now. Tell me about that.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was, when I finished football, it was around the recession time, and there wasn't many jobs around, and I said to myself, I better go back to college and get that piece of paper. So I went back and did social care there, a degree in WIT, and I didn't know really what I was going to do then with social care, but went into youth reach and for some work experience, and it was fantastic and a fantastic place to work, and so I'm teaching now in youth reach here in Ballybeg, Subli Youth Reach, and loving work and loving life, and teaching social education and active leisure studies, and really good place to work.
Can you bring the lessons you learned in football into that job?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is your kind of coaching, is your kind of nearly life coaching as well as teaching?
Yeah. The main thing is just to be real, and that's it. When you're talking to the team in the dressing room, leading by example and just being real with everybody. And it's the same in the classroom. You find, just being real with the students and eventually buy in.
Was that always an aim of yours to go and teach, or was it something that kind of after football you realised you wanted to do, or?
I just wanted to always give back, and didn't know in what way I could, but thankfully I found a path where I could help out, and it's going well.
And of course you're involved in Dungarvan United as well with Vinny Sullivan. I don't think people realise how good Vinny was as a player, do they?
Down in Cork they definitely do, and I think in Waterford we do as well. Yeah, but
sorry, outside of the clubs he played for.
Maybe. Yeah, Vinny asked me to get involved around April time last year, and I said, "Vinny, let's wait till June." Sure, June came around. I was kicking the can down the road. There was a million reasons not to do it. Young kids and everything, but no, it's been fantastic. Vinny's a fantastic chap, and when we bounce things off each other, and there's Colin there, and Nobby is there, and etc. And a great bunch of lads on the team, and it's been fantastic, and really enjoy working with Vinny. Yeah.
Would you believe I was in the civil defence with Nobby Drummy, the coach you referenced there?
He's a good fella, Nobby.
He's a disciplinarian, a former army man, of course.
Oh, he sure is. I tell you, he puts a few of us in our place every so often. But so looking forward to the season ahead now, and it's one of those seasons where they're preparing for next season to try and get it to calendar football. So it's a bit of an odd one, but as I said, a great bunch of lads on the team and the squad to work with, and great staff and everything. Yeah.
Look, I'm glad you're enjoying life, you're enjoying your job, you're enjoying your coaching, and you're enjoying being part of the LOI TV commentary here, and you're obviously working with WLR as well. Thank you very much for joining us on the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. I have taken far more of your time than I should have. John Frost, thanks.
No problem, Oisin. Thank you very much.
Let's round everything up. Drogheda United 1, Shelbourne 1, Galway United 1, Bows 1, Sligo Rovers 2, Derry City 1, Waterford with a 1-0 victory against St. Pat's. You've just been hearing about that with John Frost. And Shamrock Rovers overcoming Dundalk by 1-0. In the First Division, Bray Wanderers 0, Longford Town 1, Finn Harps 1, Kerry 0, Treaty United 0, Cove Ramblers 1, UCD 1, Athlone Town 2, and Wexford 1, Cork City 3. I hear there was a load of Kerry fans went to that game in Donegal on a Thursday night. Shane Keegan was speaking about that on League of Ireland Late Night on Off the Ball. And he said that he couldn't really sum up how much he admires the Kerry fans who went to Donegal to watch their team play against Finn Harps. Let's run you through the table. Shelbourne on top on 47 points. That's 3 clear of Derry. Of course, Shells have a game in hand. Waterford 3rd on 37 points. Shamrock Rovers 4th on 34 points. Galway United 5th on 31 points. Sligo Rovers 6th on 31 points. St. Pat's 7th on 28 points. Bohemians 8th on 26 points. And Dundalk second from bottom on 19 points. It was a good night for Drogheda. I know they didn't win, but they drew with the league leaders, and they're now only 2 points behind Dundalk. So they gained ground on Dundalk. In the First Division, the table looks like this. Well, you can't see it if I'm talking to you, but it sounds like this. Cork City on top on 52 points. They have a game in hand. Sorry, they've played one game more than Athlone Town, but Athlone Town are 15 points behind them on 37 points. So it's looking very good for Cork City, even at this relatively early stage. UCD 3rd on 36 points. Finn Harps 4th on 34 points. Bray Wanderers 5th on 31 points. Cove Ramblers 6th on 29 points. Wexford 7th on 27 points. Treaty United 8th on 24 points. Kerry 2nd from bottom on 19 points. And Longford Town bottom on 17 points. Wasn't it very smart of whoever is organising Euro 2024, UEFA, to avoid the League of Ireland. They put their games on the Friday night and they avoided us because we were all playing on the Thursday night. Smart move, UEFA. Well done. On Saturday, it's the SSE Electricity Women's Premier Division. Shelbourne taking on Wexford at 2. At 2 3 o'clock games, Bows taking on Galway and DLR Waves up against Athlone. At 5, it's Peamount United hosting Cork City. Also at 5, Treaty United taking on Shamrock Rovers. The table is as follows: Athlone on top on 25 points, Shelbourne second on 24 points. They've both played 10 games. Galway third after only 9 games on 19 points. Peamount fourth on 18 points. Wexford fifth on 10. Shamrock Rovers sixth on 10. Cork City seventh on 10. Bohemians 8th on 9. Treaty United 9th on 8. DLR Waves 10th on 7. And Sligo Rovers bottom of the pile on 3 points. Fast forwarding to next Friday in the men's Premier Division, Bohemians take on Sligo Rovers, Dundalk up against Drogheda, and Galway United take on Waterford. In the first division, Athlone meet Longford, Cork City take on Finn Harps, Kerry meet Bray, UCD play Treaty, and Wexford play Cove Ramblers. We've reached that strange stage of the season where it's a bit bitty fixture-wise because teams have European commitments, and let's hope they all have lots of commitments, as in they all make it past the first round at the very least. It is a good sign of the league if teams can be successful in Europe. It's not the only sign of progress and success for the league, but it's not a bad one, and it does draw a lot of attention from people who might normally watch the league if a team goes on a European run. There's just something special about Europe, isn't there? I love it when League of Ireland teams play in Europe, and there's a couple of winnable ties out there. I mean, Shells are playing a team from Gibraltar, so they should be well able to get through that particular tie. You take nothing for granted in Europe. St. Pat's up against FC Vaduz. Now they're Liechtenstein based, but they do play in the Swiss second tier, so they wouldn't be bad. Shamrock Rovers, but it's looking tough for them, taking on the Icelandic outfit. And who else? I'm missing someone as well, aren't I? Oh, you'll have to forgive me. It's slipping my mind now. St. Pat's, Shelbourne, and Shamrock Rovers all in Europe. And Derry City, I actually forget who they're playing. But look, we'll have lots on those games over the next couple of weeks on Extratime.com, on the Extratime.com League of Ireland podcast with Luke Jordan. And we've got lots of great stuff around the Euros. There was a special podcast released yesterday. And of course, MacDara is writing away furiously and broadcasting away furiously for Extratime.com on both the website and through the normal podcasts and the bonus podcasts that we've been putting out there. As always, if you could like and subscribe, that would help us out very much. And we wouldn't mind hearing some feedback, good, bad or indifferent. You can send that through at Extra Time News, or you can send it directly to me at Oisin Langan. That's it for the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. Have a very nice weekend. I'll talk to you soon.